What's up, everybody? It's Jeremy Krulikowski here, and I've got another awesome show planned for you guys today. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 secrets to a proven, a powerful, and effective spending plan. How to make the perfect spending plan for you. And let me just check in with you real quick, okay? If you are the type of person where you're sitting down and maybe it's just on your own, maybe your spouse, no one's actually helping you do this, and you're sitting down trying to come up with a plan for the money for the month, and you're putting your head down at the table, you're looking at all your bills, you're doing it because you should do it. It's smart to plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. And so I want to have a target, I need to have a goal. I'm tired of feeling overwhelmed. I'm tired of wondering where the money's going. I'm tired of wondering, which are we going to have enough for this? Are we going to run out of money? I don't want to overdraft, all that stuff. So you're sitting down and you're putting your head down at the table and you're like, all right, I got this. You're going to sit down in front of your device. You're going to sit down in front of your spreadsheet. You're going to sit down in front of your piece of paper and you're writing it all down and you're working on it. And then you just want to throw up or you just get sick to your stomach, or you're just like, you just want to pull your hair out. You're like, this is so complicated. This is so overwhelming, or this is so defeating, or why do I keep doing this? What's the point? Like, I keep making this thing, but I'm not sticking to it, or it doesn't seem to be working out, or this thing comes up and it throws me off. And then it feels like you might as well just not do anything at all until the pressure comes again, and you feel, that so-and-so did a budget, or so-and-so's planning, and you're like, okay, I should do that again too. Or you hear a good sermon on it or something, and you're like, okay, I'm going to get back to this. Or you watch a good video and you sit down again and it's still not working for you. You still find yourself frustrated and overwhelmed, or not knowing where to begin. Or maybe you feel like you're here and your spouse is over here and you're not dialed in on the same page. It's like, no matter what, if that's you, and it's like you sit down and after writing out, okay, I got credit cards and I got the groceries and I got the gas and everything, you're like, I don't have enough for everything, or I feel like I should have enough, but I don't get it, or this seems too complicated, or how are we going to make this stretch, or what do I do? Just bottom line, if you're watching this and you are frustrated trying to come up with a spending plan that is actually proven, that works, that is going to be perfect for your specific family, then you're going to want to tune in. Because guys, here's the thing, like, it doesn't have to be that hard, but at the same time, everyone's different. And the problem is that a lot of stuff out there is making it sound like, oh, it's like, take 2 seconds and, you get the perfect spending plan. And guys, you're not guys, none of you guys like fit into like the cookie cutter type situation. Like, everyone's different, right? One of you might be working, 2 of you might be working. You could have this specific thing that comes up every other month. You could have this going on with the kids. You've got these challenges, variable income, all these different things. And it's not as simple as some people might make it out to be, but there are ways to hack it. There are ways to make it so that it actually is, it works quicker, it works faster. It's not so overwhelming, not so complicated. And what I want to do, guys, is I want to just talk about that, because if you find yourself just kind of shutting down at the thought of it, or, just procrastinating on it and judging yourself, guys, the truth is, like, it is a fatal problem for your finances. Like, if you don't know where your money is going and you're not telling it where to go, at the end of the month, you're always going to be wondering, where the heck did it all go? And so, guys, if you're not paying down debt, and if you're not saving more each month, guys, you're going to want to pay attention to it, because we need to, guys, especially right now with everything going on. People are waking up and realizing, like, I need a plan. I need something that's going to work. I need something that's going to get us to where we really have real freedom, have a real cushion. And so you got to have a plan for your money. And so we're going to talk about that, how to be able to do that. What are some of the 5 secrets that we're talking about that's going to help you guys do that? So, guys, I just want to break into it. And let's just start with really why most people don't do it. Okay. Why do most people not even come up with a spending plan in the first place, or even want to attempt something? Well, guys, the first thing is that they think it's going to be restrictive. They think that it's going to cut off all their freedom. It's going to cut off all their fun. It's going to make it, it's going to be miserable. And honestly, if you're watching this and that's you, I don't blame you for feeling that way, because there's a lot of people out there that make it sound like, I literally just heard a video the other day and it was like, like, I just wanted to like, like, and I get that there's sacrifices that have to be made, but this person was basically like, you got on a plan, remember, like, no vacations, none of this stuff, like, basically it just sounds like no fun, you can only eat rice and beans, or you can only, travel 5 miles up the road. And it's like, but you can't go out of state, you can't do anything. And you can't go on dates. You can't have, you can't spend money on good food, whatever it would be. Like, basically you have to go scorched earth. And I just think, guys, like, if that's what you think budgeting has to be, or coming up with a plan for your cash flow, for the money coming in, then I don't blame you for not wanting to do it. But guys, let me be honest, it doesn't have to be that difficult, and it really doesn't have to be that boring, and it doesn't have to be that, like just feeling like you're being strangled and stifled. So that's one reason why people don't do it. The second one, again, it's just that it's boring. They think that it's going to be lame. I'm going to be sitting down, just working on a bunch of spreadsheets for a bunch of, for a while. I'm not going to be able to have any fun, things like that. The third thing is that they think it's too complicated. And it does seem a little bit complicated. I mean, there's so many different budgeting websites out there. There's things like that. There's this app, there's that app. It's overwhelming. I mean, guys, we spend the first couple of weeks of what we do when we're working with people just dialing this in, and we've got loads of training. We just, we try to consolidate it, be very clear so that, okay, watch this, 30-minute thing, and we're going to walk you through all the A to Z, all the ways to set this up. But it seems really complicated. And to be honest, guys, it can be at first, because there's so many different things, like when you get paid and how much, and this thing coming up, and what about we need to save for a new car, tires, all this stuff. Like, how do we do that? It can be complicated. And so a lot of people just, instead of doing anything, we just don't do anything at all. We just shut down. We go into the all or nothing syndrome. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, again, too time consuming. They think it's going to take like, an hour, or 2 hours a week or something like that. And for some people it does, because again, they just have a broken system or something that could be better. And so that's number 4. Number 5, guys, I just feel like the main reason why people don't want to budget or have a plan for their income is because they just don't want to fail again. You tried this, years ago, maybe months ago, and you got on a plan and you got all fired up, you got all passionate. Maybe it was New Year's time, right around your new diet or whatever the heck else you guys were wanting to do. And you got all excited, you got all motivated. Maybe you went to a church class, or you read a good book, or you had a good conversation with somebody. You got motivated, you got started on it, and then something happened, you got derailed, and then you were back to the same old, just kind of being reactive versus proactive. And you just found yourself getting discouraged. And maybe you're watching this and you just feel like a failure, or you feel like you failed so many times with it. It just, honestly, guys, like, when you think about it, it brings up a lot of shame, or it brings up a lot of fear of failure. And ultimately, like, you have to be able to know how to clear that, because otherwise, every time you think about sitting down and coming up with a plan, it's going to trigger that shame response. It's going to trigger, or maybe that guilt response or that fear response. And subconsciously, you're going to find yourself avoiding it and never actually want to sit down and do that. And so you have to be able to get out from underneath the shame and the guilt and the fear around it, and actually start taking action to be able to do that. And obviously that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but that's just what I would say maybe are the 5 reasons or so why most people don't do it. But let's talk about what it should be like. Okay, what are some of those secrets that are going to help you guys really create the perfect plan for you? And number 1 is, it needs to be freeing. Okay, like, it needs to be fun. It needs to be exciting. It needs to be something that doesn't rob you of all of the things that you enjoy in life. In other words, you should still be able to go out to eat. You should still, now we don't recommend, I mean, if you got like $100,000 in debt, I don't recommend you spend like $1,000 a month eating out, unless you have a really good income and you can actually save money by paying someone else to make your food for you. So that's one thing that, again, a lot of people get hung up on. It's like, you need to make your own meals, you need to do all this stuff. Well, maybe, but if you can make $50 an hour, $100 an hour at what you do or more, to spend, $10, to have someone else make that meal for you and save you an hour or 2 of your time, that can actually be pretty effective, right? And so I think that a lot of people, it's very narrow, the perspective on this. And so it needs to be fun. Like, it's still okay to eat out. Okay. It's still okay to do, to go on a date. We actually recommend everyone has a date budget. Okay. We recommend that people have money to be able to enjoy themselves here and there, because otherwise, guys, what happens is, if you're on like if you're looking at, this is going to take a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, even some people 10 years. And guys, it doesn't have to take that long. Again, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. If you need help, reach out. It shouldn't take that long for most people, but you feel like it's going to take that long. Guys, listen, like, you can only churn and burn and just, motivate yourself into so many months of just doing this. And it needs to be fun. Now, granted, if you have a really strong why, like we've talked about, if you have a really big motivation, you can do that for months at a time. But a lot of people subscribe to these approaches that make it so that you have to spend years just in suffering and cutting everything out that you enjoy in life. And it's so miserable. It's so exhausting, and it's not that exciting. And you get to a point where you burn out. You start to regret it. You start to resent it more than anything. You see everyone else having fun with their kids, going on vacations. You see people spending, being able to spend money doing, having dates. And it's like, and you make yourself miserable in the process. And guys, I believe that you can have both. I believe that you can be really, really really strategic with the money of where it's going, but you can also have fun, and it just comes, you just have to plan for it. Okay. So that's really the first thing, guys, is it needs to be freeing. It needs to make it so that it's fun. And at the same time, guys, it needs to be making it so that decision making is easy. And that, again, really what that comes down to is that you have a very specific plan for every dollar coming in. And what's great is that if you know this is how much we're going to put toward this category, then whenever it comes up to having to make a decision, you just have to look and see, well, how much did we have planned for that? Now, obviously, you can have some flexibility with that, but in general, guys, it just makes decision making so easy. Because I remember my wife and I, it'd be like, hey, should we, go travel and do this thing, or should we go out to eat? And I'm like, and I'd spend 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours trying to make a decision. But once we had a plan for everything, I was like, oh yeah, we're good. Let's go. If we didn't have money, it was like, okay, let's not go, or we might move some things around. But ultimately, it just, guys, it was so freeing to be able to have something in place that could be the guide rails for our decision making. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing, again, we've already touched on this, but really that it should be fun. Okay, you should still have fun. Just put it in your plan. Make it so that, again, you've got things in there for the things that you want to do. Now, we don't recommend people just have like a category for like $500 of fun money or stuff like that. Again, it just really depends. It depends on where you're at in your debt journey, where you're at in your savings journey. It depends on how much money you make. It really just depends on you. But again, I just don't believe that people should be jammed into these, cookie cutter situations, because everybody's different. And it really drives me crazy, a lot of the advice out there that just makes it sound like it's inherently more godly to not spend money here, or to not want to save, or to not want to try to save money here. It's like, you don't have, like, again, going back to the eating out conversation, there are a lot of people that you do so well in your work, in your jobs, and your careers, where you're actually saving money and being a better steward by not making all of your meals yourself, right? You can make a really strong case for that. And so I believe that for everybody, there needs to be something that is tailored and specific and is personalized for you, which is why we recommend that you actually get some help from somebody who is an expert, who could sit down and look at all of what's going on with your finances and help you really come up with something that's fun, sustainable, and especially if you're married, that draws you guys together, where you're both in agreement and it doesn't cause any quarrels or frustration, or even just that quiet kind of passive aggressive like judgment that you might be feeling or having toward your spouse when they're making those types of decisions you don't agree with, right? So that's really number two. Number three is it just needs to be simple, guys. Like, it needs to be simple. Like, it should not take more than a few minutes a week to be able to manage it. Now, again, we recommend, again, if people are doing this, that, especially if you're married, you're sitting down once a week and you're having the conversations. I don't have time to get into all the details of that. This is what we work with people on, but there are ways to have those conversations. There are ways to do that in a way that draw you guys together, help you stay focused on your goals. It shouldn't take that long, right? And even if you're single, it still should only take a few minutes a week, and then maybe just one longer session, before the next month begins, to really plan some things out. But again, if you know how to structure it, it's simple, it's fun, and it should only take like, maybe a minute, like adding something in, but it shouldn't be that complicated. It should be really simple. But where we see a lot of people get stuck is they get on these big, like, elaborate spreadsheets that only one person understands, or it just can get overwhelming and you got 10 different savings accounts. Guys, like, that's just too much. Like, that's just too much. Like, even like the whole sinking funds thing, like, I just think that, having money set aside, I'm going to save up 10 different areas. There's ways to make it simple, guys. It should be something that really your 8-year-old can understand. I'll say that again. It should be simple enough that your 8-year-old could do it. Okay. That's the way that we structure it. That's the way that we teach. That's the way that you guys should be doing it yourselves. It really should not be that complicated. Okay. It should be simple. Otherwise, you're not going to stick to it. If every time you're doing it, you feel like you're going to do all these crazy mental gymnastics, guys, you're going to burn out, especially when you're already tired. It's got to be simple. It's got to be fun. And number 4 is that it needs to be quick. Did I say already number 4? Whatever. This is number 4. Okay. Number 4. Again, it needs to be quick. Okay. And in other words, like, it needs to be quick, and it's going to be quick because it's going to save you, when you do it the right way, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you time on decision making. It's going to cut out on arguments. It's going to cut out on just sitting around deciding what do we do, what do we not do. And if you're already kind of passive as it is, or your spouse is a little bit passive, it makes it a lot easier. Hey, honey, what are we doing? Are we going out to eat? 2 hours later, that used to be me, right? Versus like, oh yeah, we're good to go. That would really be why it's going to be quicker. And also, again, you're not going to be so overwhelmed by things. It's going to save you a lot of time, because when things that are unexpected come up, you're going to know how to deal with them very quickly and effectively and move through it. Okay. And number 5, guys, again, it just needs to be sustainable. And again, we've hit on this a little bit, but if you don't find yourself sticking to it, you're not going to find yourself sticking to it if you're not looking forward to it. Okay. In other words, if this is something that you aren't excited about going with for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, then eventually you're going to find yourself burning out. Eventually, you're going to find yourself giving up. You're going to be quitting. And it's going to be just like a diet. In other words, if you're going to, yeah, like if you're trying to lose weight, let's just say an exercise plan, right? If you're trying to lose weight and, every, your work, you create a plan that says 7 days a week, you're going to work out for an hour and a half. And it's like, I'm going to start with 50 kettlebell swings, then I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups, whatever. Like, that might be cool. Maybe you're trying to train for some event, but if your goal is just to be like pretty generally healthy, get some muscle on you, like feel energized, things like that, that might be like a cool like 2 week kind of like boot camp sort of thing, but that's not sustainable for most people over the course of a year. And a lot of people just create these elaborate, overly complicated systems and structures for managing their money. And and at the same time, again, it's too aggressive. Like, it's too crazy. Like, we're just not going to spend money on anything. We're going scorched earth. And I just think that, again, most people, they just end up like eventually losing it. And then you end up making a decision to buy something or do something when you really didn't have the money anyway. And then you end up beating yourself later because you feel like you made a dumb decision and a spending choice and you didn't have self-control. And so we just recommend that, like, guys, that's just kind of like the 5 general things. I would say the 5 secrets to really how to create something that's going to work for you. And at the same time, guys, here's what I've got to talk about this for just a second, because I was just doing a little interview yesterday with just an awesome woman. It was really fun. I'm excited for her to release the training of it. But guys, really, more than anything, it's not just about creating the right structure of a spending plan, because the truth is there are ways to go online and find something that it might not be the best, it might not be the most effective or efficient or help you really do this, powerfully as a team, again, if you're married. But really, at the same time, it's not about just creating the structure. In other words, you can sit down and you can map out the perfect workout plan, right? I'm gonna do 30 minutes a day of power walking, and then I'm gonna do 50 push-ups, and then I'm gonna drink this smoothie every morning with all of my greens from a local farmer's market. And in other words, like, you can create the perfect weight loss plan, muscle plan, but at the end of the day, right? If you don't understand why you keep eating bad food, if you don't understand why you keep putting off getting into the gym, if you don't understand why you keep not following through on the plan that you actually create, the plan is worthless. And that's really what I'm really passionate about, is the fact that so many people feel like they're failures or feel like there's something wrong because they've got a decent plan, or they've put a plan in place, but for whatever reason they keep falling off of it. Like, they keep getting off track, they keep screwing up, they keep sabotaging themselves. And really, guys, more than anything, you have to get to the root of why you keep spending the way that you're spending, especially if you're spending more money than you're actually making, especially if you find yourself impulse buying, especially if you find yourself just buying crap that at the end of the day you don't really need, or it's not important, or you end up lying. Maybe you're like, there's financial infidelity, you're not being honest with your spouse, or maybe every other day there's an Amazon package showing up and your spouse is going like, what the heck is this, and you're just trying to justify yourself. If you find yourself struggling with any of those sorts of things and you feel like you just can't stick to it, more than anything, guys, you have to learn how to get to what's going on in here and here that is causing you to sabotage yourself and spend money in ways that are not helpful, that causes you to get off track. In other words, like, let's just say, like, for a lot of people, like, you're dealing with, like, you might have this belief that says, I'm always going to be in debt, or this is just miserable, it's never going to be fun. And so you find yourself feeling kind of depressed. And so what do we do when we're depressed, guys? We find ourselves going online. And again, it's like we get our medication through Amazon, or we get our medication through Target, or maybe you're feeling anxious about something, and then someone says, hey, you should buy this thing, it's going to help. Guys, we make we make the spending choices from our emotional state. And so if you don't know how to live in a healthy emotional state where you're not struggling with depression around your finances, or anxiety around your finances, or just feeling frustrated with your finances, like, again, you might see somebody else that is going on a vacation and you feel like, it's been so many months and I'm exhausted. And then you just go spend $4,000 on your credit card on going on a cruise or something. Like, there are ways that you could have scratched that itch, and you could have done that in a way that maybe wasn't going to take you so far off course from where you want to be. And now 5 months later, you're still paying for that mistake. You have to learn how to like understand the hardware. You have to get to the programming. You have to get to what is it that's going to help me become a person that does follow through, that sticks with my goals, that is disciplined, that is organized. And guys, I will just tell you that was not me for most of my life. I did not see myself as somebody like that. I felt very impulsive. I felt very out of control. I felt very like I like to spend money on what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted, and I didn't like to have accountability. I didn't like to have a structure in place that was going to make me have to do that. But guys, what I found is that I actually, once I got to the root of what was holding me back from not only creating a plan, but working it and enjoying it and maximizing on it, guys, what I found is that I felt so much more free. I felt more powerful. It actually made me better in my business because, guys, listen, if you're a business, like if you have a business and is struggling, there's a very good chance that it's because your personal finances are still a hot mess. Because guys, listen, how you manage your business is almost always going to be impacted or related or connected to how you're doing with your personal finances. And so what I found is that by getting my personal finances under control and getting that discipline, getting that follow through, figuring out like why is it that I keep getting off track with my spending, and how do I make it so that I stick to my goals and then create goals that are realistic and exciting, and I go after them, and we stick to our savings and all of these sorts of things and giving. Guys, what we found is that it becomes easy, it becomes fun, it becomes enjoyable. And then before you know it, you find yourself just sticking to it and enjoying it and actually creating a plan that works for you. But guys, you have to get under the hood, and you can't just take a class that's going to show you the 5 steps to, where to put your money and like what categories to make. Again, that's literally like sitting down for an hour and creating the hour, like sitting down and mapping out the perfect diet or the perfect workout or weight loss plan for you. That is totally irrelevant and a waste of time if you don't know how to figure out what is it that's holding me back. And so guys, that's why when we're working with people, the first things we're going to look at is not just how can we get you on a better plan financially, but we're also going to look at how can we get it so that you become the type of person that sticks to it, that enjoys it, is actually empowered by it, excited by it. If you're married, where it's actually like it's romantic, like in a sense, like it draws you together, it's sexy in a sense, because it's representing your values and your goals and your dreams and where you want to go together. Guys, it can and it should be fun, it should be exciting. But it's not exciting when you don't have a plan. It's not exciting when you feel like you're drowning, or it's not exciting when you feel like no matter what you do, nothing seems to be working and nothing seems to really be moving the ball down the court. So again, if you're watching this and you're going, Jeremy, like I want a plan like that. And not only that, like I want to actually stick to it and I want to actually know how to do that, like you're talking about, guys, then go to jeremykrulikowski.com/apply. Yes, I know my last name is long in Polish. We actually just create another URL that you can go to. You can even just go to richforgood.com, because again, ultimately, guys, we want to help as many Christians as we can get wealthy so that we can help you guys change the world. And that's really the point of wealth, right? It is for good works. If you read 1 Timothy, I believe it's chapter 6. Again, it's just something to go check out and make sure like, hey, am I living a life that's going to allow me to do the greatest amount of good with my money? And if the answer is no, let's get you guys on a plan to be able to make that happen. So again, that's where you can go, jeremykrulikowski.com/apply. And we will help you guys figure out, again, like what's broken in the plan, what's not working, where do you want to go, what's going to work best for you, and how can we get you guys moving there quickly and powerfully and effectively. So guys, it's been wonderful hanging out with you guys today. I trust that this was helpful. Share this with someone who needs it. Leave us a comment or a question if you guys need any help with anything. And again, guys, here you go. 5 secrets to make the perfect spending plan for you. And not just that, how to actually stick to it. Okay. So we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you on the next show, and hope you guys have an awesome day today. Talk to you soon.